Hi friends, this is Sai. A very happy Vinayak Chavithi or Ganesh Chaturthi to all of you. Today is a day when we worship the Lord Ganesha by offering him lots of these green vegetables, green leaves, flowers and fruits. But what better way to worship him every day if you've got a garden? So join me as I talk more about my garden, which is basically been running on autopilot because I haven't been to this garden ever since I shot the last video. So one big thing that I see is that the dense canopy I had here, that is now reducing because most of these corns have reached the end of their cycle. You can see fruits out there, 2-3 fruits for some of these corns. They would be harvested today or based on when they are maturing, but some of them would definitely get harvested. Now because I wasn't here, I have been getting a good supply of these ridge gourds, because this ridge gourd, I just planted it in these containers and it is using this corn crop as a trellis. So in some of the cases I wasn't able to harvest some of them. I'll just take you to the other side where I show you that one. It was a quite big ridge gourd, but I wasn't here to harvest it, so that got left there. But nothing to worry, that would be used for saving seeds. So now in front of me there is a very small guild with a couple of plants. More prominently you can see marigolds out here. Now marigold is one very good thing that you should be growing in your garden. Extremely easy to grow. You don't have to take much care of it, and of course it gives you these beautiful flowers which perform quite a few functions. Now one thing is that marigolds will attract beneficial insects, but the best thing is that they would also attract pests. Now why would you want to attract pests? The point is that if you've got something growing along with marigold, there is a good chance that the pest is going to first attack there instead of the plant that you are growing. So in that sense, marigold can sometimes be considered a trap crop also. The other thing about marigold is that the roots of marigold, actually they deter the bad nematodes in the soil, and that is really nice because nematodes can get into the root system and block the development of your plant, and suddenly the plant withers and dies off. So marigold, definitely grow it in your garden. So this is the long bitter gourd that I was talking of. Won't make much sense to harvest it right now because it has become hard enough and won't be good for consumption, but these are the kinds of stuff that you leave for seed saving. So this is the same patch from the other direction, and as I was telling you, some of them have just one corn, but in some places I have 2 corns coming, and in another place I had a third one also coming. So generally getting 1 is definitely good, getting 2 is quite good, getting 3 is almost like a miracle. So these would take some time to get harvested, but a few of them seem to be ready on the other side. So this is a baby moringa. I got you there, didn't I? I had a big moringa out here, if you remember, if you've seen my past videos, and I cut it. The reason I cut it are manifolds. One of the things is that the purpose was never to grow a big moringa tree out here. The point was actually to grow moringa not for the pods but for the leaves, because the leaves are supposed to be extremely nutritious. In African countries and in other places where people are suffering from malnutrition, this is the go-to crop. So this is a superfood by itself. Now the other thing is that if I want to grow this moringa out here, this was almost this high at one point of time. Now the issue is that because of the wind that you can see even right now, and we get pretty strong winds. So the point is I don't want the moringa to actually topple over because it's anyways got a very weak wood. So growing it for leaves, I can coppice it. You can cut it here repeatedly and just keep getting the leaves, which is the reason for which I actually was growing it, and this all happened within a span of 1 month. So I cut it, and within 1 month the leaves are ready, and probably even a few days back or a week back I could have started harvesting the leaves. So this is another Moringa, and I did exactly the same with this also. So you can see it being cut at a slightly higher height. Yep, it was cut at this height, and this again is has got back its foliage. So some of the plants that we grow in a garden, they are known as annuals, and then there are something which is known as perennial. Now annuals have a lifespan of about 3 months, and perennials can go on for a number of years. So if you want actually a low maintenance garden, you should put perennials instead of annuals, because annuals require a bit more care also. Let me just show that to you. So right in front of me are these marigolds, and if you just look at the leaves, they are all droopy, right? They're all falling down. So that is one excellent indication that it is probably not getting enough amount of watering, especially if the plant is healthy. That would be the only reason why it is dropping its leaves. I water it now, and within a few hours you would be seeing that the leaves are all standing up. So this is the case with an annual like marigold that I'm growing in my garden. But look at this. This is Indian borage. It looks as if it was watered every single day. It is fresh, it is green, but for those of you who have seen the plant, touched the plant, you know that how hard the leaf surface is. So it is not really losing out much of the water when it is hot. So this is perennial and doing very well in the garden. It's very easy to grow, and the best thing about it is that when you pluck it, or even when you are just moving it, it gives a slight smell, slight fragrance. And as I have been mentioning, if you have these different sorts of fragrances in your garden, you do get less of a pest attack, because the pest gets confused. So this is one thing which I have, which is doing well, and this is a perennial. Now another thing that I have talked about is this Malabar spinach, and this again, with very little watering, it can survive. It's also perennial, and if you just look at its leaves, let me just harvest one for you. The leaves can be quite big depending on the nutrition that they get, and depending on how much you allow their roots to go. But just look at how waxy this leaf is, and this is one good indication that it can survive less watering. So you have perennials which will do very well, and then you have annuals which might look good and might give immediate food, and probably regular, because you keep on planting them again and again, but they do require a bit of care. Now something quite surprising which has happened here is that right in front of me is a cabbage, which is despite the lack of watering, but due to the overcast conditions, what has happened is that although its root does not go that deep, but and even the potting mix does not seem to be even moist, in some places slightly moist, this is doing good. It is not having any problem. It is almost competing with Malabar spinach here, which is doing pretty well. So this was the corn plant that I was talking of, and this seems to be having multiple fruits coming. 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely not all of them are going to really get to the size, but you can have these kind of things happening in your garden scenario, whereas the other one, which is right next to it, does not even have a single fruit on it. So maybe if you just do the average, they both are doing pretty well. Now if you've been watching my videos, you would have seen that I always try to plant corn plants in a bunch. I don't have them isolated here and there. Generally the intention is to have them as a clump. So you see that this whole patch has been dedicated to corn. So let me talk more about that. So right in front of me is the very same corn patch that I was showing you in the beginning of this video, and you can just look at one of those corn plants, it is almost 8.5 feet high, and the general height here seems to be 6.5 feet. Now, corn gets pollinated by wind. So if they are all nearby together, the pollen is going to fall, and essentially what is going to happen is it is going to get pollinated because there are other corn plants which are ready to receive that. If you plant them in different places and you plant a row, one, let's say that on the other side I was having 1, 2, 3 and something like that, quite isolated, there is a good chance that the pollination might not occur, and at that point of time you might have to do hand pollination or get into different sorts of complications. So always try to plant your corn together as in a bunch. Probably something close to 20 should be good, so that you can have very good pollination and you can have very good fruits. So I hope the video was useful to you. You learned something new today. Very happy Vinayak Chavithi to all of you. Do like this video. If you like it, let me know. If you dislike it, and also let me know if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe and share it if you think it's going to be useful to your friends and to others. Thanks for watching.